All right, so today we are going to be working with function operations. Function operations, and your key concept is that if we have f plus g of x, all right, that's equal to the function of x plus g of x. All right, and this refers to addition. This will make more sense in a couple of minutes. Just let's get the rules in your notes for now. F minus g of x is equal to f of x minus g of x. That's for subtraction. F times g of x is equal to f of x times g of x. That, of course, is for multiplication. And f divided by g of x is equal to f of x divided by g of x. And that's division. Now, here's what all of that means, okay? We're going to let f of x be equal to 4x plus 7. And g of x that's equal to the square root of x plus x. And you're going to be asked to do a couple of different operations. So first one being f plus g of x. You're adding functions. So you're going to take this function, f, and you're going to add it to this function, g. So it just looks like this. We're going to take 4x plus 7 plus the square root of x plus x. And that's going to be equal to, what we're going to do now is we're just going to combine like terms. All right, we're going to take 4x plus x, and we get 5x. There's nothing to add to this square root of x, so it stays square root of x. And there's nothing to add to the positive 7, so it stays positive 7. And that is your sum, 5x plus square root of x plus 7. It's just a different way, in this case, to add two binomials together. And it's a stepping stone as you move through Algebra 2. So you may be asked to evaluate or find f minus g of x. All right, and in this case, you would take the 4x plus 7. Now, when you're dealing with subtraction, I like to put these binomials or whatever I'm subtracting in parentheses. And we're going to subtract from it square root of x plus x. All right, so now what we have is a 4x minus x. And 4x minus x is 3x. Now, be careful here because there's no square root of x in the first term or in the first binomial. So really what there is a 0 times the square root of x. And 0 minus 1 square root of x is negative square root of x. And then we've got 7 minus, there's no constant in the second binomial, so 7 minus 0 is just equal to positive 7. Everybody okay with adding and subtracting functions? All right. All right, so now we're going to let f of x equal x squared minus 9. And g of x is equal to x plus 3. And now we're going to evaluate f times g of x. So we're going to multiply the first function, which is x squared minus 9, times the second function, which is x plus 3. So a binomial times a binomial, we're going to do the distributive property. So we've got x squared times x, which equals x to the third. X squared times 3 is positive 3x squared. Negative 9 times x is negative 9x. And negative 9 times positive 3 is negative 27. Now, at this point, there's no like terms to combine, so you're finished. All right, you may be asked to take the function of x and divide it by g of x. Now, this is the only time I think it gets a little bit tricky. So this function of x is x squared minus 9. And we're going to divide it by x plus 3. And when you're dividing and you've got something squared up here, you got to factor first. Okay, so we need to factor this numerator. X squared minus 9 is equal to x plus 3 times x minus 3. And then we just move this other x plus 3 over. So now when you simplify, these x plus 3's cancel each other out. And you're left with x minus 3. let's look at another example of division. And this time we're going to take f of x and divide it by g of x again. But here's what it ends up looking like. This f divided by g of x. We got 3x squared minus 11x minus 4. And we're dividing it by 3x plus 1. So this numerator needs to be factored. Earlier in the year, we did a technique where we drew a vertical x, or I'm sorry, a horizontal x, and we had some rules about factoring a trinomial when a was not equal to 1. I like this little tic-tac-toe method a little bit better. When you're factoring a trinomial and this leading coefficient is not 1, you can draw this table or matrix. And what you do is you block off the top left slot. Then in the left middle and the top middle slots, openings, positions, go the factors of 3x squared. 3x squared only has 2 factors, 3x and x. Whatever this leading term is, these 2 factors need to multiply to the 3x squared. So 3x times x is 3x squared. Now, in the top right and the bottom left, go the factors of -4. All right? But when you add this box right here to this box, when you combine these two, combined, it needs to equal -11x. So here's how this works. If we have to get to a -11x, and we're looking at factors of 4, I'm going to put a 4 up here. And 4 times 3x is 12x. Now I need the other factor of 4, which is 1. And 1 times x is x. Now this 11x in the middle needs to be negative. That means that if we're going to combine a 12 and a 1 to get to a -11, well then the 12 needs to be negative. If this 12 needed to be negative, when this 4 got multiplied by 3x, the 4 would have needed to be negative. Now, -12 plus a positive x equals -11x. So this 1 right here has to be positive for 2 reasons. Because 1 times -4 is -4. And this bottom right position has to be whatever this is. So your factors are this left side, which is 3x plus 1, and the top, which is x minus 4. So when we go back to these 2 functions that we're dividing, in the numerator, we get 3x plus 1 times x minus 4. And in the denominator, we still have the 3x plus 1. So these 3x plus 1's cancel, and we're just left with x minus 4. All right, so all of it's really straightforward. The division just gets a little bit tough sometimes when you've got a factor and the first or the leading term isn't a 1. If you need a little more explanation or help with building this table, come see me. I'll be glad to help you with that. So, does anybody have any questions? All right, then your practice for today is going to be on page 401. 1, 2, and then 4 through 14. And there are no Alex topics this week. We're on a short week. Study guide will be on Thursday because there's no school on Friday. Electronic assignments today and tomorrow, study guide Wednesday, quiz on Thursday.